Thank you for joining us today on Something to Think About with Pastor Mike, where the topics can range from current events, historical perspectives, practical Bible application, to whatever's on his mind today. People have stereotypes of what it means to be a Christian, and one thing's for sure, Pastor Mike loves breaking those stereotypes. Pastor Mike Hasseltine is the senior pastor of Maranatha Church with campuses in Forest Lake and Chisago, Minnesota. With over 40 years of practical pastoral ministry, Pastor Mike challenges us to be real people, loving a real God, right in the midst of all our real lives. Now, here's Pastor Mike.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome aboard. It's good to be back on Friday. Mm-hmm. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You're doing great?
Yep.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. You know, people ask, how you doing? If it wasn't for a cold, because I'm miserable. So we ask, how you doing? Actually, I'm miserable.
That's a bummer.
But only because the terrible sinus pressure, sore throat, hacking, coughing, even with medicine. But besides that, I'm really good.
Nice.
Even listening to myself in the microphone sounds weird.
Yeah, it does change your voice.
It does. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's nothing really to complain about.
No.
This shall pass.
Yeah.
This is no big deal.
In the scheme of things, that's exactly right.
It's really true.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're here, and I'll be praying for Sunday.
Yeah, because Sunday's coming.
Sunday's coming. There's a message to give.
Yes, there is. Mm-hmm. It's really, really wild. Mm-hmm. Good morning, Mike, back there twisting the knobs, our producer this morning. How you doing?
Good. I'm very good.
Good?
I don't have a cold.
You don't?
That's great news.
No.
You
Not
and I
yet,
should,
anyway.
You and I should switch spots then. I'll go sit behind there and be quiet, and then you come over here.
Okay.
I wonder how that'll go.
I don't know.
I think
We'll find out.
It'd probably go just fine, but yeah.
If Jenny's listening, she's panicking right now.
You know what's really funny is one day we are going to have each one of you producers as the guest, and everybody could catch and see how witty and smart and funny you guys are, because they have no idea. It's just fantastic working with you guys. You guys are great.
He started out funny this morning. I walked in here, and I'm like, oh, he's not in here yet, thinking of you.
Oh.
And so I walked out. He's not here. Yeah, he no here.
Yeah.
He just got me laughing. Very funny.
Pasta no here.
I was trying to hunt down a cup of coffee.
Yeah, shout out to Gary for getting you one.
Yeah, thanks,
And
Gary.
everyone walked in here.
Yeah, so enjoying a good cup of coffee.
Very nice. Good for you. I didn't bring mine in. I already had my cup of coffee for the day.
Oh, I already had one too, but it's number 2.5.
Wow. I don't know.
It's not bad.
I can get pretty. I don't know. I use a lot of words in a day anyway.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
Yes,
use
you
a lot
do.
of words. Coffee amplifies that skill.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yep. You know, they did a study. I think something like 8,000 words a day is for a guy and over 10,000 a day for a woman.
I think you're above average then. I mean, as a pastor and the speaking that you do, and you're engaged in conversation or sharing something pretty frequently.
Well, okay, now we're on the radio, so I'm supposed to be talking, but I think I'm just going to be quiet.
Why? I don't know who benefits from that.
Oh my gosh, that's really fun stuff. Life is fun.
Yeah, it is.
And you just got to go for it. And hey, if you're this morning, if you're hanging around the house, hopefully you're enjoying your second or third cup of coffee as well. Mm-hmm. And if you don't drink coffee, then you're having a really nice cup of tea.
Yeah.
Or like my friend Mike Hall, you don't drink coffee or tea, you drink Mountain Dew all day long.
Wow.
I know. He drinks Mountain Dew all day long.
Wow. I know people who drink just a cup of hot water with nothing in it.
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah. I mean...
No sugar?
Nothing. Not one thing. Nothing. Hot water.
Just hot water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not cold.
Nope.
Hot water.
Yeah. Go figure.
God, it must be good water, huh, Mike?
That ain't right.
That ain't right. That's what I think, too. That just is
Something
not.
wrong with them.
That is not right. You know?
There may be people listening from their cars or from their homes or their headphones somewhere, but we also may have a contingent listening up at Cragen's women's retreat.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we got a bunch of women heading up this weekend.
Yes.
The whole leadership entourage headed up yesterday, get things set up, ready for the ladies to come.
Yeah.
They have the attendance is down a little bit this year, and several domestic reasons right around here.
Oh, sure.
Our old church facility, but I think they still have like 160 or so, don't they?
I believe it's 164. Jenny says good morning, and she is not panicking.
Oh, okay, she's not panicking. She has all the faith in the world in you, Mike.
He's
Jenny is
definitely
not
above
panicking.
average.
So
That's
the
good,
fact,
because if she sent me a message, I didn't respond because I didn't look for anything.
Yes, Mike is busy at the
I just showed
board
up.
there.
that is so funny. So Jenny is not playing pickleball. She is up at Cragen's.
Yes.
Getting ready for the women's retreat.
And clearly listening because
And well, I almost feel like running upstairs and telling all the ladies, hey, you're going to be safe today. You're not going to get hurt. Jenny is not there.
yeah. Well,
Not there.
you know, there's pickleball up there, right, Jenny? Yeah.
Oh, there is. That's right.
Yeah, see. So
You
it's
know
not
what,
like
she
she's
just-
doing without.
You're right. She just can't live without hurting somebody sometime. She got to be hurting people, putting them into pain all the time. She is a pain. I told her I saw on TV that Mr. Agassi, is
Yeah.
it Andrew Agassi?
Andre.
I say emphasis on the wrong syllable. Andre Agassi. Was a 5-time champion tennis player.
Yeah.
But he is now about Jenny's age. Which will remain not spoken.
Oh, let me
But
put that up here.
he is teamed up with the currently world champion female pickleball, and they're going to play in a world match together. So Jenny is all at Twitter. She is just flittering all over this idea. She's just so excited.
He's 54.
He's 54. How old
Yeah.
is Jenny?
I can look that up too.
Yeah, I bet you she's, again, I think she's about the same age. I have no idea, but I'm guessing.
168 women at retreat.
168, okay.
That's so exciting.
That's going to be a good time. Earlier, the guys' Bible study, we were praying for the ladies' safety in their travels and back because they're heading up there, and that's just a large group
Yeah,
to
it
go in. How old is Jenny?
54.
My guess is right.
Yes, you're dead on.
It was a good guess. I'm
There
just
you
like,
go.
I looked at him on TV and I looked at her in the flesh because I see her every day, and I realized that I think they're about the same age.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Speaking about age,
Yeah.
I had an interesting encounter yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, here I go.
Tell me all about
sinused up and everything cold. It's going to come across really negative, and I hate to do that, but at the same time, I kind of enjoy it. The story of my whole life. I've been a square peg in a round hole, trying to get pounded into a round hole my whole life as far as ministry goes. Because I've questioned God. God, why did you call me? I am not like those guys. It's just crazy. I have a very low esteem of like TV reporters. To me, they're just talking heads, and they just don't do anything. They're
So you don't consider them necessarily journalists?
maybe they are, but it seems like they don't have a life. They don't do anything. They're just too antiseptic. They're too prissy, for lack of a better word.
I'm sorry.
That was prissy.
Yes.
Yes. Just too whatever. And I have for so many years. I just have the same general thought for most pastors.
Yeah.
It's like real often we're sitting, my wife and I, on our different trips. Literally, we're out for a restaurant eating and whatever else, and I'll look over and I go, I bet you that guy's a pastor. I can tell just by the way he looks so prissy and girlish. I go, oh, he's got to be a pastor. I walk up and I'll actually say, hey, excuse me, I'm just curious. Are you a pastor? And they look at me and they go, yeah. And they're surprised with glee, and they have almost a spiritual pride, like, I'm so spiritual, you can tell. I'm like, no, it's because you're so prissy, I can tell. No, I don't tell him that, but that's what I'm thinking. You know? Okay, so yesterday, and I might as well just get myself in trouble. You might as well. Just give you something to think about. The whole idea of the show. So we have our Minnesota, all the Assembly of God ministers are having our district council yesterday. And so I'm down there, and I've known a lot of these guys. I mean, for 45 years, I've been a part of this group. And I've just always, I was telling Joanne I'm the black sheep of the family. She goes, Mike, you got to quit saying that. I said, but I am. I mean, you just think about it. When I came in to the assemblies, I was the only one wearing skull jewelry. I was the only one riding a motorcycle. I was the only one that shortly thereafter got a tattoo, carried a gun. I mean, I drive a race car. Mm-hmm. I can bench press 380 pounds. I mean, I don't fit in this group. Pretty strange. Okay, so yesterday, I'm talking to this. I don't know these people. They got some ministry, so you got the ministry fair people.
Mm-hmm. Sure, like almost a vendor expo.
No, vendor expo, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So people are coming by me and they're talking to me that they know me and whatever. And this vendor group's trying to get my attention, and so I'm talking to them. And I'm the one guy that came up. He heard that I have a Viper. He said, "Hey, I heard you got a Viper." I says, "Yeah, you want to see a picture?" So I pulled a picture of my Viper, and then I showed him a picture of my chopper, and then I showed him a picture of the '64 gasser, and then one guy goes, "I don't know what a gasser is." So I'm showing pictures to this couple too, this husband and wife that running the vendor table.
Sure.
And you can tell they're just kind of like their eyes are getting wider and wider. And I said, "Oh, here's a picture of the race car, the sprint car, and whatever." So the one guy leaves, so I'm just now talking to these couple, engaged totally with just these couple. She looked at me and she says, "How old are you?" And I thought that was a strange question, but because I'm talking with energy and I'm talking about life and all this cool stuff. Mm-hmm. She goes, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 65. She goes, "No way. You are not 65. She said, "You're pulling my leg, right?" I said, "Nope, I am 65.
Well, you packed a whole lot of life into those
Exactly.
years. Yeah.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
Exactly. I realized that mystification by somebody who's had a life, really live life, they're not around them.
Huh.
Pastors. So I envisioned in my mind, I'm like, everybody in that room is just like this couple. They're just like them. Every one of them. Not every one of them, but most of them.
That's tough.
That's really tough.
Well, and you talk about it around here, and we hear it in membership class because this has been kind of a theme of your life for so long. People have stereotypes of what it means to be a Christian. And
I don't fit that stereotype. Exactly. My ministry philosophy in a sentence is, I believe everybody has a stereotype of what it means to be a Christian. Mm-hmm. And I want to break that stereotype. Mm-hmm. How many times? Okay, so I came walking in that day yesterday. Mm-hmm. I'm walking through the front doors, and they got a guy and a husband and wife manning the doors. They're welcoming. The first thing he says to me when I come walking in, he goes, "Hey, are you ex-military?" And I thought that was just a bizarre question. I said, "No." He said, "Well, you seem more muscular, and you walk with a sense of confidence. You stand, you just whatever. You just look like you are."
So everybody there isn't doing that?
That's my point. Okay, so that's what he said. So then he said, "Now we're at a ministers' conference. We all know
now if you're at a chaplain's
why we're
conference,
there. If we were at some other kind of conference." So then he says to me, he says, "Listen to this, Robin." He goes, "So what do you do?" What do you do?
Did you tell him as little as possible?
He wasn't as expecting me to be there because I'm a pastor.
Yeah. Huh.
I mean, isn't that they condemn themselves?
That's sad.
Isn't that wild?
Well, and what
I'm
are
not
you
making
there
this
to
up.
do
This is
if
real.
you're-
I just walk in. "Hey, are you ex-military?" "Nope."
Huh.
"No, I'm a bad. Can't say that on radio. You're just. I'm just an average guy who happens to be a pastor." So then I was talking to another young pastor. When he see me talking to these other people, he came over and was kind of intrigued by the conversation and stuff. And again, I don't know what was happening, but just me being a little bit more muscular, he said, "I work out." I go, "Hey, good for you." I said, "You keep it up." I said, "When I was 40 years old, I weighed 185 and I could bench press 380.
Huh.
His jaw hit the floor. I said, "So you got some work to do." Oh my gosh. And to our listeners out there, if it sounds like I'm bragging, I don't mean it to be that way. What I'm trying to say is it's a stereotype of the ministry that is terrible. In fact, that couple that guarding the doors, she made some kind of comment too about, "Well, golly, yeah, you are definitely not the standard." And I said to her when she said that, she says, "You're not the standard. I said, when people say to me, God, you don't look like a pastor, I always thank them. I would go, thank you.
Wow.
I said, because I don't want to be related to or identified like with them.
Well,
isn't that terrible?
Well, and okay, you think about it. I mean, Jesus was a carpenter. They walked everywhere. There wasn't necessarily, 90% of the people didn't have the wealth, so it wasn't like they were, I don't know, fat and sassy, for lack of a better...
Like the Pharisees.
Right.
And Sadducees.
And they didn't live, sweeping generalization, but for that context, they didn't live a soft life. They just didn't. And the disciples, martyred for their faith. I mean, when you talk about Paul, he had a physical situation. We don't know exactly what that was, but he traveled over 15,000 miles, they estimate, in the course of his life in ministry and all of that. Huge. Okay, these were not soft people.
Yeah.
They were not soft
They're
people.
rugged.
Whether you're Lydia, running a business beside the river, or Deborah, being kind of holding court as a judge for Israel today, we read. I mean, it's like there's a softness, I think,
and here's
that is
the thing.
different than compassion or mercy.
Oh, yes. We need to be filled with that stuff. We really do.
Yeah.
But there is almost a cherished whiteness or simplicity or prissiness. And if somebody is truly that prissy, I don't hold it against them. I really honestly don't. The thing that just gets to my goat is when they put on the prissy thinking that it has some kind of a spiritual advantage.
Yes.
That's what gets me.
Well, and you've heard that over the course of
You
time.
do not need to be, quote, like me or whatever to be a man. You need to have the strength to stand up for what's right.
Yep.
You need to be a person that's willing to sacrifice for others, be a person of truth.
Yep.
You don't have to be able to bench press or have a full head of hair, which I don't. You don't need any of that kind of stuff. But you can't be thinking prissy has spiritual value.
Well, there are those that think that the more you mature in your life with God,
yes,
the
you get more
refined
prissy.
you will be.
More refined, more
exactly.
prissy. And it has no spiritual value whatsoever. I'm convinced when we get to heaven and see King David, he's going to scare the jeepers out of us. Mm-hmm. We're going to go, whoa, holy cow, what in the world?
Yeah, JL, grab a pike for your head. And
Did you say grab a beer?
Pike. Like
what was I not listening? Is the sinus affecting my hearing too? I think I don't know.
I was just reading how she, invited this guy in, and he was tired, and he was an enemy, and
she killed him. Yep, she sure did.
She sure did. Like DRT, dead right there. So
dead. Yeah, it's crazy.
Anyway, you gotta...
Okay, so hey, let's get to the national holidays, the stuff that we go through. I love this stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I do.
So, I want to highlight today is National Hug a Plumber Day.
Hey,
So,
we have one.
Chris Tyson.
Chris Tyson, man.
is
We
a
see Chris,
plumber.
man. We're going to have to give him a hug.
So if you see Chris, give him a hug today. National Hug a Plumber Day. It's also National Hairball Awareness Day. Pastor Mike has a hairball right now.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to cough one up right now. It's like, oh my gosh.
sorry. Okay.
National Hairball Day?
There you go.
I guess there's several hairballs. You get the hairballs under your bed or in the hallway or...
No, I think they talk about
cats.
hacking up a
Yes, man.
hairball.
Then you got cats, yep.
Yeah. National Zucchini Bread Day. That's not a bad day.
Not a bad day. Made
Not
right
a bad
with
day.
warm butter.
That's so good. National Telephone Day.
We really need a National Telephone Day?
It was a big invention.
Turns out we all have them now.
Turns out. And then, he probably never could dream that big. It's also National Arbor Day.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree. So I do want to let you know, coming up, let's see, you should be aware that this coming Sunday, is National Gummy Bear Day.
This Sunday?
This coming Sunday.
Oh, man, I got to do something with gummy bears in church.
It's also National Prime Rib Day.
Oh, sorry, baby. I had a 2-inch thick prime rib while you were gone.
I'm sure Pastor Arlene would miss that.
Oh,
yeah.
she would.
But there's a big one here, too, that I thought of you. This coming Wednesday is Stop Food Waste Day.
Why'd you think of me?
Because you're always cleaning the refrigerator out around here.
I am.
You can't stand food waste.
I don't like food going to waste. So a lot of what I eat, literally, I think 50% of what I eat is not because I want to. I just don't want to see it thrown away.
Well, you invest
So then
in
I eat it.
Yeah, it is a consumable.
Does that make me a green earther? A green earth guy?
Probably a
does
question
that make
for
me,
a bigger
Mike,
mind
what
than
do you
mine.
think, man? Because it's true. All the staff around here, they know I'm always eating stuff that's even several days past due. I'll smell the milk and it's like, it's not fully,
bad.
it's not fully gone yet. So
when you clean out the fridge, means you eat all the stuff that's in there?
yeah, I'm constantly going through the fridge, knowing that this has only got a day left, and so I eat it.
I think yes and no. Because I think you're being you're saving
Frugal,
the food from going to the waste, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You spent money on that.
So in the sense, there's less gas burn to get it there, but I think it's not really hurting anything if it does, because it's all biodegradable, right?
That's true.
It's probably most efficient if you just throw it out in the yard. Then you're not paying you're not
Compost.
burning
The compost,
gas. The
the
trash
gas,
man's
the-
not burning gas
Yeah.
to take it somewhere.
Well, what about the guy who delivered it? If we all ate our stuff, we'd buy less, and which would mean less deliveries.
That's true.
That is true. I mean,
it's
it's a
something
whole.
to
I
think
I don't know. I just hate to see things go to waste. I just do.
No, I hear you.
So I'm eating stuff all the time.
So I
mean, all the Three Musketeers, the Oreos, the Twinkies. These
My
things,
wife
they
gives
gotta
me a
go.
hard time about. It's like, that's bad. I'm like, I smell it, and I'm like, nope, still good.
If it can pass the smell test, it's edible. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, this coming Wednesday is also National Raisin Day, Jenny.
Jenny loves raisins.
Jenny needs to have a T-shirt.
Man.
She believes the raisins happened after the fall of man.
Jenny hates
result
raisins.
of the fall.
We should get a big old bag, put it on her desk when she gets back.
You sure can.
Raisins all over her office. Take them out of the package even. Sprinkle them all over. So she's got to pick them up.
Ew. Also, National Hairstylist Appreciation Day. So I think of Brooke Lee.
Oh, Brooke Lee.
Yeah,
Yep,
who's
she
going
was
to
a sweetheart.
cosmetology school right now. So way to go, Brookie.
It's only been
Anyway.
about 20 years since I've had my hair cut.
But don't you do that every day?
When I went someplace and had my hair cut.
Oh, I see
Back
what you're
when I had
saying.
hair.
Oh, okay.
When I turned 40, I adopted this hairstyle.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So I clip my hair every third day.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Unless, yeah.
I need to get in. I just have been ignoring my hair. I need to go get a different haircut.
No comment.
What are you going to say to that?
Exactly.
I mean,
What are you going to say to that? So it's like that's
Exactly.
one of those things that is a trap. You can't say.
Oh, no, I wasn't
God,
trying
when,
to,
when,
yes.
when you going to get
Yeah,
that thing
really.
mop cut? Or
I used to
yeah, it
call
looks
my
great.
kids, yeah,
whatever.
you're handsome, but
no-win.
scruffy.
It's a no-win situation.
I call my kids, you're looking like a scruffy nerf herder.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Okay, so when we come back from the commercial break here, I'm going to be addressing a question that we got online last week. So we got this online question from Caitlin Baker, and I'm anxious to address that. So go get yourself another cup of coffee, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Something to Think About with me, Pastor Mike, a production of WAJC, Your Life Radio on 88.1 and 91.7 FM. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions or comments about today's show, email us at wajc@yourliferadio.com. If you're ever in the Forest Lake area, I'd love to personally invite you to join us for a Sunday morning service at 9:30 a.m. or Wednesday evenings at 6:30 p.m. There's something for everyone.
Something to Think About with Pastor Mike is a production of WAJC Your Life Radio, which is owned and operated by Maranatha Assembly of God in Forest Lake, Minnesota. You can find more information on the web at realchurch.org. Now, back to Something to Think About.
Hey, here we are. We're back, so thank you. I hope you got your cup of coffee all filled up, or your tea, or your Mountain Dew, whatever you are doing. If you're at work, hopefully you're enjoying listening in, tuning in every Friday. And also, if work on Thursdays, if you're there, or radio, there's a show by Pastor Bill and his wife Denise called In Pursuit, 12 o'clock. It's a live show every Thursday. So he's our Chisago Lakes campus pastor. But I'm going to address a question that we got online from Caitlin Baker. Because I talked about some scary things.
Well, so last week I asked you what was the riskiest thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
And you answered with, besides becoming a Christian, besides getting married, and then you went on to explain.
Yeah.
And that provoked this question evidently from Caitlin.
Which is, how did you know your wife was the one follow-up to getting married being one of the biggest risks of your life? That, I think, is a great question. And I want to let you know, Caitlin, out there, that, and all over the listeners, I've had this question sitting on my desk for a week, and I never even gave it one bit of a thought. I thought until I walked in the station here, and I'm reading it again, and I'm going, wow. So I'm just going to, like, off the top of my head, address the question. And to me, it seems, maybe it's because I've been in the ministry for so long, and I've seen the strains and the struggles of married couples. And, you know, being married will test every bit about your personality, your life, your personage, just because you don't stay the same.
That's right.
So you got married and had the greatest of intentions, but both your spouse and you have changed. You've grown, you've changed. Now, I've noticed a lot of times when people get married, you know, there's pros and cons to almost everything. Get married young, you get to grow up together. That was the case for my wife and I. Got married young, got to grow up together. Now, we had a solid foundation, and maybe we can address a little bit of that, some of the things that you're really looking for before you get married, because some people, they just grow up, they think the next step is get married. Well, you didn't put any much thought into this.
Or a whole lot of idealism.
A whole lot, yeah. Everything's going to be wonderful. It's going to be rose. You just got to get married, and that's going to make your life complete. And not if you marry a bum, or a jerk, or
Yep.
boo.
Yeah. Someone you're not compatible
Someone
with.
is and grows incompatible. Then makes life really, really tricky. So I think that's why I mentioned it as a no-brainer. It's one of the biggest risks you will ever get into. Even for our children, I told them, you know, listen, I would love to love your spouse. Especially for my daughters, I said, hey, listen, I would love for you to marry a guy that I really like, that I can get along with, and we can do stuff together. But I want you to know, if he doesn't like anything that I like, he can be total opposites of me. And we might not even we don't have to even like each other. As long as he loves God and loves you, then I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
If he loves God and he loves you, then I'm going to be happy. So Orlean and I, before we got married, we actually wrote down 3 reasons why our being married would benefit the kingdom of God. Strange, isn't it?
Wow, interesting.
Again, so way different than most people just kind of, hey, I'm in love, and you slept together already, and you're just already committed, and you're going down the road, and the natural next step is you're going to get married. And then they get married, and they're surprised to go, it's not working out.
This was not as fun as I expected.
All the time. Again, this idealism that you said. It's just going to be this grandiose, fairyland, fairy tale. No, Orlean and I went into this thinking, okay, 3 benefits of us getting married. And we went to, and again, we dated for over a year.
Ah, okay.
We dated for like a year and a half. We knew each other really well. And we didn't sleep together. We did not have the big I word, intercourse. So there wasn't that clouding of the issue already. Because sometimes people, once you sleep together, now unfortunately whether you're psychologically aware of it or not, you're working to keep it together.
Well, I loved how she has put it in the past. It causes you to become blind to red flags, or any flags. There's something about that intimacy that really reduces or removes your ability to see issues in somebody else's life.
Yes. But it is the greatest risk because the vows are for better, for worse. And let me tell you what, it could be for better or for worse. Richer for poorer, in financial strain, puts a lot of strain on a marriage. For richer for poor, in sickness and in health. You just don't know. And that's why those vows were written so long ago, because you realize that you're making a commitment. And it's the biggest risk, the biggest gamble you can take. In other words, you don't know what kind of heritage, genealogy that mate has.
That's right.
they might be succumb to good health, or they might be subject to very, very poor health.
Right.
Again, over all my years, man, I have met some just horrible situations. I remember this one guy, and again, I'm not going to use names, but he was very fit. I'm talking about, so now they're into their 50s. She comes down with a disease, taxus, where you kind of lose the feeling in your extremities.
Oh.
And so she turned into be very frail. You can't eat, or eating is very, very difficult. So she, and he was healthy and playing sports and doing stuff, and he just really treated her terrible because she couldn't join him. So he was meeting all these other younger women out on the tennis court or on the whatever, and it's like, and he turned out to be quite a jerk.
That's too bad.
It's really too bad. I can think of several situations like that. It's health that, hey, I didn't sign up for this. Well, yeah, buddy, you did. When you got married, you signed up for this.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yep.
Therefore, it's like a crapshoot. Now, you want to hedge your bets the best as possible. That's why it'd be good to be prayerful. Make sure that both people are believers, that you believe the same.
Yep.
Fundamentally, how can you be going through your life worshiping and loving God, and your mate doesn't do it, doesn't share the most foundational, important part of your life with you? That makes it very, very difficult. It just makes it tough.
It does.
I know several ladies who are deeply committed to God, love God, and their husbands, not so much.
Yep. Well, and you just never know with health that's going to come along, financial circumstances. Even if you were 100% all the time doing your best, which we're not, we're humans, right? We're going to blow it. You just never know what a day will bring. A phone call can happen. Somebody's got cancer. You're in a car accident. All of a sudden, your life has changed, and it could be external to you. Like you had no choice, and that's just the way it is.
Just the way it is.
And your life is redefined.
And then kids come along too. We didn't even address that.
No.
Kids throw a whole different pressure into marriage.
They can be.
You think there's going to be a bundle of joy, and it is after they're 20.
Maybe.
That's right, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we tried to raise our kids so that they'd be the kind of people that we would want a relationship with in their later life.
Yep.
Yeah. But so kids, that puts a strain and stress, all the pressures of raising kids, and how did you discipline them? How were you raised? How did your mate, how did they see discipline? Some's more disciplinarian, some are more nurturing. I mean, there's just this delicate tightrope. And that's why I said marriage is just definitely one of those greatest risks in life. It's just scary.
Well, so since we're on the topic of marriage, what do you, in the experience that you've had, what do you think are ways to invest toward a more healthy marriage? What can somebody do today?
Wow. That's a great question. Air got really quiet here. Obviously, I think there's several things, but you have to keep liking each other. That really helps.
It really helps.
Proverbs 5, it talks about rejoice in the wife of your youth. Let her breasts fill you with joy. I'm like, I like that part. But no, literally, just rejoice in the wife of your youth. So remember what captivated you about her, and try to keep that alive, fan that into flame as you go through. To really, likability to me is stronger than, okay, maybe it's just in my head, but I've told Orlean, when I say I like you, it almost means more than I love you. Because I love a lot of people. I love you, Mike. I love people. We say it all the time. Hey, I love them. But to me, it's a special endorsement when you say, I like you. You put a stamp of approval on, I like you. So try to like each other, which might sound really strange, but try to like each other.
Well, and we'll like some parts of our mate better than others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's okay. I think one of the big...
And sometimes they change into unlikability. And it makes it tough. And there's where... don't lose your train of thought. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So I'll come back to my point. Never mind. You go ahead.
Well, I just think about some of the different, time things that we go through as married couples. There was a time when my husband had 3 jobs. And that was a really difficult time in our marriage. But so appreciated and honored his commitment to hard work, to do whatever it took to keep his family afloat.
Provided for, yeah.
He provided for us, and it cost us for that provision, but he was willing to pay it, and I was willing to pay it because that was just what was needed. Now, was that an ideal period of time? No, there were lots of deficits. It reminds me of like John and Abigail Adams.
Yeah.
You know, the commitments and the sacrifices that they made for our American history and our nation. We wouldn't be who we are today or have the footing that we have today were it not for John and Abigail's investment in this country. And a lot of that came at the cost of their marriage. They spent, I don't know, like 13 years or something of their marriage apart from one another because of the commitments that they both had to doing what was necessary at the time.
George Washington, a lot of our founding fathers, they were
Yep.
gone months at a time.
Yeah.
Months and months at a time, fighting for our nation.
Yep.
Excuse
Yep.
me. This idea of, Arnie had 3 jobs. It's not the perfect situation.
Right.
As you said.
Yeah.
It took a toll on everybody.
It
Kids,
totally did.
you, him, the relationship. But there's where I think people got to get out of their head. If you got married because you wanted everything to be perfect, there's a mistake number 1. Flaw number 1, unrealistic expectation. You do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And you learn that becomes embraceable. And you do what you got to do. Our son, Max, he had appendectomy surgery, and it went bad, and he had to have another surgery and turn septic. And I mean, it was just a horrible situation. But I'll never forget one day, he's about 13 years old, 12, 13. We're walking down the hallway because the nurses said, if you get moving, that'll hopefully help the healing. Get your bowels moving and all that. And I'll never forget. So he's holding on to the wheeler, that little tree thing with his IV drip in it, with his butt hanging out of the back of his gown, and we're walking down the hall together. And I said, Max, man, I'm proud of you, man. This is not easy. You've really been through it. And he turns to me and says, Dad, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. I'll never forget that. It's like, and that's what marriage really is about. You can take away all the flowery stuff, and there's a lot of great moments in there that you got to enjoy. But the reality is, you got to do what you got to do. You just got to go through it, and you just got to do it. So.
Yep. Well, and I think it's really helpful to keep the frame that, the person that you married is actually a human. Meaning, we all come with a fallen nature. None of us are perfect. And we don't necessarily react perfectly the first time or the 10th time. We're still growing up together. And what does grace look like? And how do you honestly reflect back? Man, this is how you're being. Yeah. Or this is,
And you have to remember, it's like our Christianity, a lot of our life. What we're doing is we are growing up and repeating what we saw. So a lot of it has to do with, what kind of environment did you have?
Yes. I
know a lot of people don't get married today because their parents had horrible marriages.
Right.
And they don't want to do it. It's like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
So my parents, I had, modeled in front of me, a pretty good, healthy idea of what a marriage was. My dad didn't, smack my mom. They weren't alcoholics or drug addicts. Did they have their fights? Yep. But they usually took them outside the house or in their bedroom. And there wasn't this violence, throwing stuff and screaming and none of that. Excuse me. So after 12 years of marriage, Orlean, on her anniversary, said, Mike, one of the greatest gifts you've given me. I looked at her and I was like, uh-oh. She said, you've never raised your voice at me. That was after 12 years of marriage. You've never raised your voice at me. So now we've been married coming up on 45 this May.
Well, congratulations
May 31st will be 45 years. I have yet to raise my voice at her. Awesome. Never have. Never raised my voice. Because I had this idea of, why would I scream at the teammate that I want to go through the rest of my life with?
Well, that's a logical thought. And usually, when you're in the middle of those circumstances, your frontal cortex is not what's prominent.
Yep.
Says someone who has yelled at their spouse.
Oh, you have?
And regretted it. Oh, of course I have.
Guess what? Orlean has too.
You know? I mean, yeah.
So and again, just to clarify, sometimes when people hear me say that, they think that means, you mean you guys never argue? Oh, I didn't say that. Mm-hmm. I just am saying I've learned to fight fair.
See, that's a skill.
I've learned to fight fair.
Yep.
Why do I want to be demeaning, diminishing, ridicule, and all that stuff? Again, the one I love.
Yep.
So I chose not to ever allow myself to lose control. Now, there's been several times where I've went to the other extreme where I've just silenced up.
Yeah. Yep. And that's,
you are not going to make me yell at you. I'm just going to shut up right now. No.
I know. That was actually one of my big requirements before I got married. Was I had to have someone who would engage in the conversation with me regardless of how uncomfortable it was or how long it took to resolve the issue. Because when you choose to be silent, there's a time to speak and there's a time to not speak. But if you regularly choose to shut down and not engage, in my opinion, that is a choice for a lack of intimacy in your relationship. And there will be a future cost to that, whether you recognize it or not.
Oh, I think the experts would agree.
You know?
Because when you start to disengage, eventually when you come to the place of complacency, where you kind of just don't care, that's when a marriage is truly in trouble. So if you are arguing and fighting and engaging, that's healthy.
Yeah.
Because you got to do it. And you got to stay with it.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have to do name calling. You don't have to raise your voice, but you do have to stay engaged. Yeah. Otherwise, when you disengage, when somebody says, I don't care, that should be a red flag.
Totally.
When somebody doesn't care.
Yep.
Yeah, indifference. It's not good. So, wow, Kaylin, thanks for sending the question in. If you got questions, you can send your question in also. Email at wajc@yourliferadio.com. You just send us a question, and I would love to try to address it.
Yeah, or shoot it over to Facebook at 88.1 WAJC Radio. You'll find us on Facebook, and we'd love to get those questions.
Yep. And again, come back to just finishing up with, getting married is one of the biggest risks of your life. So go in with the most advice from others around you. You know, definitely when you take the pre-marriage counseling test, it questions 13 major areas of a relationship. And I think it's important to go in there. In America, again, now I'm just pontificating and things that I say all the time. In America, we got everything backwards. We decide we're going to get married, and then we go take this test. Before we get engaged, when we're thinking seriously this might be the one, that's when you should take this marriage evaluation thing to help you. Because really what it's doing is not seeing if you're compatible. It's trying to test, have you guys worked through and talked on these 13 areas of your life? But right now, the way we do it in America, you sleep together, live together for a while, you decide you're going to get married, and the church says, you have to go through these classes. You go through these classes point out all kinds of red flags. You don't care.
Well,
you're already committed. I'm going to get married. You got a date picked. You got, everything.
But, a whole lot of couples want to take this class just to be able to get the discount on the marriage license.
Well, yeah, that's true, too. That's why they do it. You're right. I'm just going to do this. This is, again, this idea that it's necessary. I have to do this to get married. You've already made up your mind you're going to get married. There was a couple in church. I just heard that they're engaged, and I said, hey, listen, no, they're not engaged yet. I was teasing her about when she gets a boyfriend and all that. I said, do me a favor. When you get this boyfriend, I want to meet him because I want to introduce myself as your big brother and show him where the buckwheat grows and the bear goes in the woods. So I want to meet. I said, but above all things, too, would you promise me that you'll listen to your parents? Yeah. Because your parents know you and love you, want the best for you, and they know you best of all. They're going to tell you the truth about this guy.
Yeah, all that is argument for a great and healthy community that knows you, that's invested in you, that you're invested in. I mean, you can't get away from healthy community. And now be healthy.
That's true.
You gotta.
And again, I don't know Caitlin's background or situation or anything else, but if you got small kids, I just heard a Christian song. It's not that terribly new, but I just heard it the other day. I don't even know who the singer is, but he said in the song it says, "When my kids were little, I taught them and talked to them about Jesus. As they got older, I talked to Jesus about my kids." And that is it's a great song, man. When you listen to it and you start thinking about the words, especially if you are a parent, when they're little, you're talking to them about Jesus. But as they get older, you're talking to Jesus about them, praying for them. As you're praying for your kids, man, Caitlin, if you're married, keep working at it. One more thing to add in this whole marriage thing is if there are troubles, don't resist getting help.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, although I'm not opposed to it, and I think it's a great idea, but sometimes people have barriers to going to see professional help. Talk to people that you trust, people that have healthy relationships, not perfect, but they have healthy relationships, long-term, and talk to them. Mm-hmm. What's tragic is it's not hard to get advice. It's hard to get good advice.
Right, exactly.
The person who's thinking about getting married or getting divorced and they're having all these marriage problems, what they do is they ask all their divorced friends, what should I do? And their advice is divorce the bum, divorce the woman, just get rid of her. That's not the people to ask for advice.
Yep. Ask
for people who've been doing it well.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, and there you have it.
Cool to get a question.
Yeah, it's cool to get a question. Mm-hmm. It's kind of wild. I'm just fumbling through some different things here, thinking about what we can wrap up. We got 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Unless we go long.
What should people know for today?
Always that God loves them. And if you love Him, then always you need to share that love with others. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All the time. And I, obviously, just because of the way I'm wired, hey, do something crazy, something wild, but safe. Give people something to think about.
Oh.
Break that stereotype of this wimpy Christian, Casper, milquetoast, weak-kneed, lily-livered sissy. That's what a Christian is. No, it's not. Oh, my gosh. In fact, sometimes the way Christians talk, it irritates me. It's like they go into a whole new mode. When they start talking about God, they go into a whole new tone, a whole new speed of diction, and a whole kind of a lily white, oh, isn't this good? And I was like, what just happened to you? Oh my gosh, what happened? I've jokingly told people, and again, it's so easy to irritate Christians. Religious people. It is. I've said, if you can't picture Peter pointing his finger at Jesus saying, hey, Jesus, pull. If you can't picture that, then you don't understand that Jesus Christ was 100% man and 100% God.
Yeah. Yep.
If you can't imagine Jesus going, whoa, did you see her? If you can't imagine that, then you are living in an unrealistic expectation of what it was when Jesus walked this earth. Mm-hmm. Did he lust after her? No, I'm not saying that. Not going there at all. But he was 100% human. So that way he can relate to everything that we go through.
Yeah.
Hey, listeners, know this. God loves you. He's crazy about you. Why don't you just fall more and more in love with him as well? Hey, have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next Friday.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Please join us right here each Friday morning at 8 a.m. If you have any questions or comments about today's show, email wajc@yourliferadio.com. You can hear more from Pastor Mike at Maranatha's website, realchurch.org, on the Messages and Media tab. The opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of the owner.